I wish that I could have knocked him out at the start. But as we saw, he came to my ears and whispered, "Please be easy on me." He thought I'm Mike Tyson, and I will follow his script 40 seconds after I broke the clown's jaw. We are boxers, not content creators.
Like, they're suing me for something I didn't do. It's just the most bullshit thing. And I literally had to pay them a lot of fucking...
Since Jake Paul is no longer only facing a knockout loss, the conclusion has already exploded. He's looking down at his entire boxing business might be destroyed by a Netflix lawsuit. And no, this isn't possible. Rewind with me, because this was marketed as the biggest legitimacy test of his life just before the lawyer arrived. Contracts, egos, and a business strategy based on noise rather than control appear to have been revealed on the same night.
Gervonta Davis was being very difficult to work with, and Netflix was just waiting for a read.
Yeah, we think he broke his jaw. He's fine. We met with Netflix afterwards. He took a shower. He drove himself to the hospital. A broken jaw is very common in sports, particularly in boxing or MMA, and I think the recovery time from the...
All Jake being sued by Netflix is not an afterthought. It is the result of $1 billion platform realizing that its bet on volatility had resulted in pandemonium. Because this wasn't influencing boxing, you could feel it as soon as the Joshua fight was over. Judges, physicians, CEOs, and people from all over the world were marketed as actual heavyweights in this sector. And that type of machine litigates instead of tweeting when it feels ashamed.
Anthony Joshua didn't throw a single straight right hand for 6 rounds.
Consider how quickly this changed when Jake entered. His bold branding was turned up to 11, and the executives, at the last minute, are reportedly questioning why the gadget they purchased exploded onto hospital footage and prevented conflicts. This is the bit that should worry you. There are rumors that Netflix did not receive what they had anticipated. Additionally, there is someone out there that is more knowledgeable than they claim.
And not only did you not get knocked out, you dropped and said, "Wow." I was like, wow, that was nice. I was on the ground, I was like, that was a good shot.
Did he surprise you with his power?
To be honest, no, but I mean, he surprised my jaw.
Jake Paul was not the only opponent Anthony Joshua defeated. He took down the safety rails, and after they were gone, each previous Joshua was neither a novelty opponent nor a retired name. Thus, the guarantee was re-examined under close scrutiny. He was a heavyweight weapon that worked flawlessly. And you could see the panic beginning to set in as soon as Jake began to circle rather than push. Irreversible, gradual, and subtle.
Looks like Jake Paul is trying to bait him into something, but he's the one that's hit the canvas twice in this round. Incredible.
Joshua never even got out of second gear, so this is where the experience gap evolved into a public execution. And that's frightening because it indicates that the threat was managed rather than unintentional. Additionally, if a champion chooses patience over spectacle, it indicates that he already knows the outcome and is just choosing when to make it public. And that choice was executed like a guillotine in round 5.
I love this shit, and I'm gonna come back and get a world championship belt at some point.
Are you surprised you went 6 rounds with the former 2-time unified heavyweight champion?
Honestly, I'm not surprised. I just got tired, to be honest. Like, it was just so much.
Jake wasn't simply knocked down by 2 knockdowns. Since those weren't fortunate shots, they abandoned the illusion. They were as a result of accumulation, exhaustion, and fear. Furthermore, anyone who acts in a different way is lying to themselves, because by the 6th round, courage was no longer a factor. It had to do with biology. And even when the brand refuses to speak the truth, the body always does.
A little fucked up, but will you take care of me forever and ever?
I saw you talking crap to AJ at one point.
I was trying to get his head. I think I pissed him off. What were you telling him? I was just saying fuck him.
Because you can't caption your way out or meme titanium plates away, the broken jaw changed everything. Potential harm to the bones. The crowd turned when they saw Jake attempt to turn hospital footage into content, because confidence seems different when it is earned and when it is borrowed. And all of a sudden, this felt like it was taken from a system that ultimately refused.
I just pissed him off. Then he broke my brother's jaw. Fuck. His jaw, huh? Yeah, he exposed his jaw.
Yeah?
You don't care, though. Jake's having a fucking blast.
We'll see him back again for sure?
Yeah.
This is the time bomb that no one wants to touch just yet. It wasn't just a bad night for Netflix. They are said to have lost a planned future because there was no rumor about the canceled Gervonta Davis fight. Infrastructure marketing sponsors were involved, and projections were predetermined. Additionally, platforms do not refer to the unilateral pulling of that as personal choice. They refer to it as a breach.
Now, you asked me a question. Look, it wasn't the best performance. It wasn't the best. The end goal was to get Jake Paul, pin him down, and hurt him. That has been the request.
Confusion is not the source of a $100 million lawsuit. It originates from banger and the word willful that is in circulation. Anyone who is familiar with contracts should be alarmed by reports, since being willful implies knowing the repercussions but nevertheless acting on them. If that turns out to be true, it not only damages Jake but also erodes his credibility with all of the serious promoters who are silently observing.
Thank you very much. I'm here with the winner, Anthony Joshua. Anthony, congratulations on the win. How would you describe that fight?
Well, first of all, I want to give love to the crowd, everyone that came out. I really do appreciate everyone in this.
Be honest when you ask yourself this question. Why would a business like Netflix end such a lucrative partnership without something went horribly wrong behind the scenes? And no, this cannot be a coincidence, because the story abruptly changed from punches to paperwork, and the smile vanished. And the battle is already lost when suits take the place of gloves.
Because it's a civil lawsuit and it's just allegations, it's not criminal, so there must be something.
This is where the legacy harm gets worse. Because while losing to Joshua was manageable, platforms' trust was lost. Is radioactive, and sponsors don't yell. They disappear, and subsequent talks get harsher, quieter, and colder. Additionally, that stain doesn't go away once you're called untrustworthy, regardless of the volume of your fan following.
Paul, he's done really well tonight. I want to give him his props. He got up time and time again. It was difficult in there for him, but he kept on trying to find a way.
The fact that Joshua appeared so composed afterward is another aspect that continues to bother me. Since composed winners don't feel brave, when someone is threatened, they don't file a lawsuit. Instead, they move on. Nevertheless, Netflix failed to move on. They intensified, indicating that this isn't an ego issue. It has to do with someone trying to regain control after it slipped before more leaks appeared.
I don't like it. Even Anthony Joshua had some class and, apologized to me.
Did he really?
Yeah. He worked his way through the crowd and came up to me and said, "Mom, it's just boxing.
It's the fight game.
It's just the fight game."
Obviously.
Additionally, pay attention to the rumors that other fighters are challenging, since when several names begin to appear in the same statement, it typically indicates that contracts were overextended, and all of the tension was shown in a single snap. Additionally, additional agreements begin to be audited line by line for protection if one breaks. The most terrifying aspect of the story is that it feels unfinished due to the complicated legal disputes over the Dragon discovery. Additionally, when internal discussions, messages, and emails are made public, storytelling fades quickly. Additionally, Jake is not paying attention to the room if he believes that this ends with the headlines, because it can get uglier before it gets quiet. Because the fight didn't stop in the 6th round, you should be uncomfortable. The locations were simply altered. Additionally, a heavyweight right hand is no longer the source of the pressure. It originates from legal teeth and corporate memory. They also don't glow. They continue to grind until something breaks. We haven't yet witnessed this final fracture, I believe. After all of this, it becomes clear that the Joshua fight wasn't the issue, because systems don't collapse from a single blow unless they were already under stress. It was the trigger. Before that evening, Jake Paul's boxing career had been under a lot of strain. the theme that permeates everything is the difference between competence and confidence. While competence keeps partners composed, confidence may sell seats and headlines. Every stakeholder began inquiring about the cost of damage management as soon as Joshua revealed the gap, rather than how huge the next event might be. Additionally, there's a huge difference between ruining a business plan and losing a sporting event. Because fighters constantly lose, their individual choices suddenly have institutional ramifications when they become the center of a platform strategy. Netflix didn't enter the box for turmoil or vibrations. For predictability at scale, they went in. Furthermore, it is only profitable to wager on a volatile personality if that volatility remains contained and does not affect contracts, timetables, or advertiser confidence. The fact that Jake wasn't positioned as an underdog experiment exacerbates the dilemma. He was seen as a pillar and a link between contemporary viewers and classic boxing. Furthermore, no one discusses how thrilling a bridge appeared when it was intact after it collapsed. Jake's belief that preparedness alone could control outcomes was dashed by the Joshua fight. However, the lawsuit poses a more serious threat. The notion that since court proceedings don't give a damn about spin or framing, he can influence narratives after the fact. Everything slows down once attorneys get involved, and in combat sports where momentum is valuable, that pause is poisonous because fighters need clarity to train, promoters need certainty to plan, and viewers need belief to stay interested. Another unsettling fact is that Jake was shielded from introspection by money, which is risky because lessons don't completely sink in when repercussions don't hurt right away. This leads to a cycle of repeating the same mistakes on a bigger scale. In terms of athletics, Joshua represented the roof, but in terms of commerce, Netflix represents the ceiling, and both are striking in quick succession, forcing a problem that cannot be resolved with arrogance or subtitles. Additionally, audiences' perceptions of crossover boxing are changing as they become more adept at distinguishing novelty from validity. Additionally, it becomes more difficult for subsequent ventures to blur that border once it solidifies. It's amazing how fast discussions praising Jake's bravery gave way to discussions about his dependability. Because dependability is binary, boldness is subjective. Either you show up or you don't. Instead of portraying Joshua's loss as a singular error, the litigation narrative reframes it as a part of a bigger pattern. Additionally, businesses react to patterns rather than singular instances. The entire story also highlights how improvisation becomes less feasible as you expand up. Because when hundreds of millions of dollars are at stake, what appears to be independence on a small scale becomes reckless. For warriors pursuing influence, there's a subtle lesson here. Influence magnifies errors just as much as it magnifies achievements. Additionally, there is less room for unpredictability the higher you ascend. Disruption was the foundation of Jake's brand. However, unstructured disruption eventually frightens the very partners that made it possible. And that is the dilemma he is currently dealing with. When it comes to business transactions, the boxing community has a long memory. Furthermore, reputations are not solely formed in the ring. Even if the legal matter ends well, decisions concerning future battles are decided in conference rooms. Because platforms and promoters don't forget who made their lives more difficult, especially when there are alternatives, the perception of harm persists. This situation feels unresolved because it lies at the nexus of corporate power, entertainment, and sports. Furthermore, their junctions hardly ever result in tidy outcomes. More than any tweet or interview, Jake's next action will reveal if he recognizes the scope of his current situation or whether he still believes that noise can replace trust. Currently, the